If the world were to lose oxygen for just 5 seconds, the consequences would be far more severe and widespread than one might initially assume. Oxygen is a critical element, not just for the survival of living beings, but also for the stability of countless physical and chemical processes that sustain life and the environment. A brief 5-second disappearance of oxygen would unleash a cascade of catastrophic events, affecting everything from human health to the planet's infrastructure. To understand the magnitude of this scenario, it's important to recognize that oxygen makes up about 21% of Earth's atmosphere. It is essential for the respiration of almost all living organisms. In the event of oxygen suddenly vanishing, humans and animals would feel the effects almost immediately. Even though 5 seconds might not seem long enough to cause significant harm to our bodies directly, the lack of oxygen would still trigger a momentary but intense suffocation experience. This brief disruption in breathing would cause widespread panic, as the brain and other organs would struggle to function without their usual oxygen supply. While humans and animals might survive the physical shock of not breathing for 5 seconds, the aftermath could be much more dire. The absence of oxygen would have immediate and devastating effects on the Earth's surface and the materials we rely on daily. For instance, oxygen is crucial for maintaining the structural integrity of buildings, vehicles, and other infrastructure. Without it, the protective ozone layer in the atmosphere, which consists of 3 oxygen atoms, would disappear. This would expose the Earth to dangerous levels of ultraviolet radiation from the sun. Although the short duration of 5 seconds might not allow for immediate damage, the sudden exposure would still be dangerous. Moreover, all untreated metals exposed to the open air would instantly begin to oxidize and corrode at a rapid pace once oxygen returned. This sudden and accelerated rusting process could weaken structures like bridges, skyscrapers, and airplanes, making them vulnerable to collapse or failure. Airplanes, in particular, could face catastrophic consequences. Without oxygen, the air pressure would drop dramatically, causing aircraft to lose lift and potentially plummet from the sky. Though this would be a worst-case scenario, even a temporary loss of oxygen could result in serious mechanical failures and endanger passengers. Additionally, oxygen is essential for combustion, the chemical reaction that powers engines and produces fire. During those 5 seconds, all forms of combustion would cease. This means that any vehicle running on internal combustion engines, such as cars, trucks, and planes, would suddenly stall. In a world where millions of vehicles are on the move at any given moment, this sudden stoppage would lead to massive traffic accidents, plane crashes, and general chaos. Fires, too, would extinguish instantly, which might seem like a positive effect at first, but the abrupt nature of the extinguishment could cause problems for firefighters and other emergency responders. The environmental impact of losing oxygen would be equally devastating. Oceans, which contain vast amounts of dissolved oxygen, would undergo significant changes. Marine life depends on this oxygen to survive, and a sudden absence, even for 5 seconds, could cause widespread stress or death among fish, corals, and other aquatic organisms. Phytoplankton, the microscopic plants that produce much of the world's oxygen, would also be affected, disrupting the base of the marine food chain and potentially leading to long-term ecological consequences. The Earth's crust and soil would not be immune to the effects of an oxygen loss either. Soil contains numerous microorganisms that rely on oxygen for survival. The sudden deprivation would kill many of these organisms, disrupting ecosystems and agricultural processes. Plants, too, would suffer. While they produce oxygen through photosynthesis, they also require it for respiration, especially at night. The temporary lack of oxygen could damage plant cells, leading to reduced growth and even death for particularly sensitive species. Beyond the immediate physical and environmental consequences, the psychological impact of such an event would be profound. Humans are not accustomed to losing oxygen, even briefly. The sudden inability to breathe, coupled with the chaos that would ensue, would likely cause widespread panic and fear. People might develop lasting anxiety about the stability of the environment, fearing that such an event could happen again. The global community would need to address the trauma and stress that would undoubtedly follow such a terrifying experience.
The scientific community would also be deeply affected by the event. The loss of oxygen would raise numerous questions about the stability of Earth's atmosphere and the potential for future disruptions. Researchers would need to investigate the causes and effects of the event, potentially leading to new discoveries about atmospheric science and environmental stability. This event could also prompt discussions about the potential for human intervention in the atmosphere, such as geoengineering, and the risks associated with such actions. On a larger scale, the 5-second loss of oxygen would likely spur international efforts to better understand and protect the Earth's atmosphere. Governments and organizations might invest in new technologies and policies to monitor and safeguard atmospheric oxygen levels, ensuring that such an event does not happen again. This could lead to increased collaboration between nations on environmental issues, as the global community recognizes the importance of maintaining a stable and healthy atmosphere. In the aftermath of the event, society would need to grapple with the broader implications of the loss of oxygen. The event would serve as a stark reminder of humanity's reliance on the Earth's natural systems and the delicate balance that sustains life. People might become more aware of environmental issues and the importance of protecting the planet's resources. This awareness could lead to increased support for environmental conservation and sustainability efforts, as well as a greater emphasis on reducing pollution and mitigating climate change. At the same time, the event would likely highlight the vulnerability of modern civilization to unexpected disruptions. The sudden loss of oxygen would expose the fragility of our technological and industrial systems, prompting a reevaluation of how society prepares for and responds to environmental crises. Governments and businesses might invest in more resilient infrastructure and develop new strategies for managing risks associated with environmental instability. In conclusion, the hypothetical scenario of the world losing oxygen for just 5 seconds would have profound and far-reaching consequences. The immediate physical effects would be devastating, causing widespread disruption and potentially catastrophic damage to infrastructure, technology, and the environment. The psychological and social impact would also be significant, as people grapple with the fear and uncertainty of such a terrifying event. In the long term, the event would likely lead to increased awareness of environmental issues, greater collaboration on global sustainability efforts, and a renewed appreciation for the delicate balance that sustains life on Earth. Ultimately, the loss of oxygen, even for a brief moment, would serve as a powerful reminder of the importance of protecting and preserving the natural systems that are essential for our survival.